when we've done the flag raisings, which we began back, I believe, in 2004, if I'm correct. 2003? 2003. So the flag raisings starting then, initially we did it in August, in honor of Black August, and in honor of the creator of the red, black, and green flag, the Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey.
Yes, sir.
And we kept it up doing it August throughout those years. We missed a few years, but we kept it fairly consistent. And then as times have evolved and the issue of race keeps resurfacing, we felt more charged up than ever before to do it more. So this past year is the first time that we did it for May 19th, the birthday of Malcolm X. Obviously, Malcolm X had his own time here in Boston, and we honored him by raising the flag for Malcolm X Day, which now give thanks to Councilors Ayanna Presley and the entire Boston City Council, was made into an official day recognized by the city of Boston, Malcolm X Day, on May 19th, from now until perpetuity. For the kids here in class, that's vocabulary word of the week. Perpetuity means forever. All right. But yeah, so Malcolm X Day on May 19th. Then we raised the flag again on June 19th for Juneteenth. And then we went again in August for Marcus Garvey. And now here we are in February for Black History Month. Now, while we're in the first day of Black History Month, this is not in honor of Black History Month. That's very short-sighted. It's in honor of Black history, which is long. And as we do this, we're blessed today to have these young brothers here from Prospect Hill Charter Academy. All right? So if y'all brothers would take your position, and thanks to the teacher, Mr. Byron Beeman, if you young men will take your place around the base of the flag.
Crank this up, gentlemen.
And y'all will be able to begin doing a slow crank. Now, here's what I recommend.
Listen up.
I recommend, so that each of you gets a shot at it, each of y'all take a couple of cranks and then rotate and share the love. All right? And you're gonna go up high. You don't gotta go fast, right? A nice even crank.
Crank it slow.
And y'all split it up amongst yourselves, and we'll let you know when it's high enough, because state law, the flag cannot go higher than the national flag or the state flag. That's flag protocol. All right? So we shall begin, my young brothers, if you would.
That crank going. Beautiful.
All right.
Oh, you got to start over.
Bring it home, baby.
Bring it home.
You done ate. You done ate.
Bring it home.
Look at that. Look at that. You get stronger with $900 coats on, right?
Is it good? Nah,
Keep going. Keep it going. Keep it going. Keep it going.
The money you want?
Good?
Yep.
All right.
We're going to get locked up.
Thank you. Let's thank our young brothers from Prospect Hill Charter Academy. All right, thank you, young brothers. I appreciate that. And we'll connect with Brother Byron and make sure to get you young men some resources that can hopefully further expand your understanding of Black history. So I just want to take a couple of moments to speak on Black history and what that means. It's a good time to do so. Thank Chief Gross for stopping through. And Black history. First ever, right? Superintendent in Chief of color, Black male, ever. Woo! Right.
That's a view.
Happy birthday.
And now in a city like Boston, where 1630, those wasn't such good times for us. And as they say in the movie with Malcolm X, right now we're about 45 minutes from where Plymouth Rock landed on us. This is part of the original 13 colonies. And when people ask the question about race in Boston, is Boston racist? I would make the case that racism was invented here. This is the foundations of it. This is a bastion of racism. This is where racism got its intellectual okay through the institutes of Harvard or out in Connecticut, Yale. These are the people who are putting the intellectual theory behind their false assertion that we were inferior and that they were superior. So when we talk about white supremacy and when we talk about the quest for the superior male, this is not all Nazi Germany and Hitler. No, this was done right here. And in fact, what was done here went on to enhance and influence what the Nazis have done. So have you heard about eugenics? Eugenics was created here, Yale, and then adopted by the Nazis. Wow, that's a good policy. And we would like to use your science to prove our theory. So when we talk about racism and white supremacy and Black history, we can't take the history out of it. And when we think about history, history is a long time. So when we go back, the further back we go, the blacker it gets. I remember when I was a kid in school, when we said Africa was the beginning. Y'all know the mural, Africa is the Beginning by Gary Rickson. Africa is the beginning. That was a revolutionary thought at the time. I got in trouble in school. I got kicked out of classes for saying Africa is the beginning. Now, years later, Professor so-and-so from Harvard University says that DNA results have told us that Africa is the beginning. And now we're good. So for a long time, what was coming out of the schools of thought of Afrocentrism, of Black nationalism, of Pan-Afrikanism, that was laughed at, that was ridiculed, that was made a mockery of, has actually turned out to be true. Africa is the beginning of civilization. When you're talking about math, you're talking about language, written or oral. When you're talking about astronomy, when you're talking about astrology, when you're talking about religion and spiritual worship centers, it all originates in Africa. Now, somewhere along the way, we got bamboozled and tricked and conned out of our own history and out of our own place in it. And we were fed a lie that we were less than, and many of us believed that lie that we were less than. And now, we only go back there for fantasy. February 16th comes out a movie, The Black Panther, breaking all records. People are waiting in anticipation to see it because they've never seen a black hero before, even though there was Blade. Right? But people are just clamoring for this, and it's breaking all records. And that's dope. That's dope. I'm glad that people are excited about it. But I wish that we could get people as excited about Roxbury, Dorchester, and Mattapan as we could about Wakanda. Because guess what? I don't live in Wakanda. And chances are I'll probably never get to go there. So we're so caught up in the fantasy. But yet, what about the reality? Is there a reality that says that it is possible to create a black utopian society right here, right now? Can we be about that? And what does it mean as we sit here outside one of our halls of power where the question of race in Boston has repeatedly come up? But this flag says, we are here. We demand a place. And unfortunately, too many of these conversations on race have been had with the people that don't specialize in race. If you have a conversation about football, Jamal Crawford should not participate in that conversation. I know very little about it, don't care very much about it. And if you examine my whole 47 years of life, you will see that he really never had a connection or an interest in it. So what I'm saying is that when it comes to the times of dealing with race, we have to go to the people who specialize in race. We have a series on race in Boston in the Herald. They didn't talk to Malcolm X's nephew. I don't know, Malcolm X is kind of an important figure, I guess. When you're talking about race in America, who has brought up these issues more consistently than the Nation of Islam? And here not only we have the connection of Malcolm X, we got the history of Farrakhan, and we still have living Minister Dawn. But when we talk about race in Boston, these people are not consulted. I know I'm sure not consulted. And when we talk about race in Boston, we seldom hear the terms of black nationalism, Pan-Afrikanism, the diaspora, right? The transatlantic slave trade, or the MAFA, the Black Holocaust. And while the Jews have their Holocaust and are told never forget, and we support that, somehow black people are told to forget. Forget it, it was so long ago. Slavery was so long ago. Many of you know I recently lost my grandmother. My grandmother passed away at the end of November. My grandmother's grandmother was a slave. She was a freed slave who my grandmother's older sister, Lucy, many of you might know from the Elmer Lewis School and all this, from the sewing duo of Gus and Lucy. My Aunt Lucy taught her grandmother to read. So every day when she came home from school, Aunt Lucy, as a little girl, 8, 9, 10 years old, with her reading lessons, she shared her reading lessons with her grandmother who was a slave. Right here in Boston. Not no cotton field in Alabama, nothing. So sometimes when we are told to forget as if it is so long ago, it ain't that long ago. And we are still suffering the impact of it. And just when you think slavery is old, Jim Crow is over, let Michelle Alexander tell you, there's a new Jim Crow. So we have a lot of stuff to do here in a city like Boston. More than ever, I think it is imperative that we deal with the issue of race in Boston. And I encourage Mayor Walsh, Commissioner Evans, others, people who are empowering this city to open up and expand the conversation, to include the ideas from other sources and other people who have other views and might bring issues that were previously not brought to light, or scared to be dealt with, or marginalized, or hushed, or put to the side. So as I go with the end of this, I just want to call out a couple of significant dates. So in February 1st, 1926, Carter G. Woodson, the father of Black history, initiated the first celebration of what was then called Negro History Week. February 1st, 1976, it was expanded to Black History Month. Rosa Parks was born on February 4th, 1913. The NAACP was founded February 12th, 1909. Frederick Douglass was born on February 14th, 1817, and died February 20th, 1895. Huey Newton was born February 17th, 1942. Malcolm X was assassinated on February 21st, 1965. W.E.B. DuBois was born February 23rd, 1868. The 15th Amendment, which gave us the right to vote, passed February 26, 1869, and was ratified February 3rd, 1870. And a final note, you may not know that last year, after the inauguration, your president, Donald Trump, renamed Black History Month, all by himself, renamed Black History Month into National African American History Month. Now, I'll end on this. Many people don't subscribe to that term African American because folks don't feel so American. Don't feel as though that they've been let all the way in. You get a crumb of that pie. You don't get all of the portion, you just get a crumb. And you better be happy with the crumb we gave you. So I know that a lot of us, while we live in this country, have fought in every war that they've ever had, contribute our money, the biggest consumers to capitalism. We are the biggest consumers every year, faithfully voting, whether Democrat or Republican, most notably Democrat, faithfully voting. And what do we get for it? We work for this society, we work for America. How does America work for us? We work for Boston. How does Boston work for us? And so now the question is to have a real conversation on race, to see where we could take this city forward. Because the past, not good. And we're not going to get to a better future if we continue to rely on a very narrow spectrum of information. So with that, I say peace. I'd like to thank you all for coming.
Thank you.
The flag will be flying. Please tell a friend. Red, black, and green flag. The RBG flag flies in Boston for Black History Month, but more importantly, for Black history in general. Peace.